Disability world. Hello and welcome to Disability World, where we discuss various topics of interest and for and about the disability community with individuals, leaders, advocates, activists, people in business, education, entertainment, sports, music, and more. I'm your host, Norma Stanley, and today we are speaking with Miss Rose Allen, who is an entrepreneur. And she is also someone who has used the concept of sisterhood and aunties, and whether or not you are biologically related to someone, how you can be of support to families like mine, mothers and parents of children with disabilities who are, who can use some support wherever we can get it. So let's bring on Miss Rose Allen so she can tell us a little bit about what she does and how her business Creative Social Solutions is making a difference.
Hi, Norma. Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. Well, I just wanted to, share a little bit in our, short time here, because I know how important having a support network is. When my husband and I moved here from New York to Atlanta, we didn't have any family here. Mm-hmm. And so when Sierra was born, it was pretty much us depending on each other. And we may have had one or two friends to help out, but generally that was the case. And of course, as Sierra got older, that got a little even more challenging. Yeah. So, yes, she had aunts, but they were up in New York. They couldn't be here to be of support the way we needed it on a regular basis. So tell us a little bit about your concept and vision about aunties and how that can be of support to families like mine and the ones who have younger children in particular.
So my name is Rose Allen of Creative Social Solutions, and I came about the business of Creative Social Solutions because I was an aunt who took guardianship of my niece. Mm-hmm. And my niece, who was a family friend's child, which is a whole nother story. And she started to have academic challenges, and I became an overwhelmed mother. So when you're entering the disability world, no matter whether it's when they're first born or even when she was in middle school, the process was overwhelming. So mm-hmm. Like many mothers, you're overwhelmed by your work, you're overwhelmed by marriage or the dysfunction in your family, and then you're introduced to the world of disability, and there's not like a instruction manual on how to navigate that world. Right. So everything just come colliding at once. And so I went from being an aunt and to being a guardian, and from a guardian to overwhelmed mother. And I worked in IT for 25 years. And so I knew about reading law, understanding policy procedures. I love doing research analysis. I love data. So those are the skills that I use to navigate resources for my child. Mm-hmm. And so what I found was it was hard for me to navigate even with that regulatory background. So how hard was it for other mothers who didn't have that background? So right. Even if you have the knowledge, you still are overwhelmed. So that's even right. If you understand project management, you understand strategizing, you understand all these things, you still are overwhelmed. So when I was thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, I needed a way to address the barriers. And one of the most important barriers, even if you are an engaged parent, I'm talking engaged parent. I'm not talking about the unengaged parent. Right. I'm talking about the fully engaged parent, how difficult it is even when you're fully engaged. Yes. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Your emotions are hijacked. Your cognitive ability is disabled because you're thinking about the long-term effect of everything on your child. Yeah. But who more important to come alongside of you to someone who care about not only your child, but you. Right.
So
No one have that type of dimension but a sister or a friend who is as close as a sister.
yeah.
So
And
that's
so is that something that you innately become, these people who become aunties slash sisters? Because not everybody is built that way. I've had friends who I've known for years before my daughter was born, and they never really became aunties. Like they weren't didn't have those support. So not everybody's made that way, especially when your child is kind of moderate to profoundly disabled, basically.
You know what I find? That people don't know how to approach you. People don't know how long come alongside of you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the importance of the skill sets that they have to actually help you, because they're looking at what you are doing and they're like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But what they can do is do your time management. What they can do is be your encourager and really redirecting you back to your plan. Because when you get overwhelmed, you forget about how many doctor's appointments have you missed of your own, let alone your child, because things you're just overwhelmed. So the best thing to do, and who else are you going to listen to other than a sister friend? And I like to call them sister friends, because you're right. Every sister not that, and every friend is not that. But you have those sisters who are also your friends, and those friends who are closer than a sister. Those are the people who need to understand. So my job is to help them understand, to equip them with the ability to come alongside, because they have that natural desire. They just don't understand how they can assist.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that, we try to do just as parents and advocates for families like ours, in terms of making sure we educate and sensitize people to the needs that families like mine may have. I mean, my Sierra's a little older now. I don't have the same needs I had when she was little.
Right.
And that's the way it is with everybody. The needs change. So, as she grew, I had different types of needs, and not everybody again could handle some of those needs at those different levels of her stage, her development. And it was mostly her physical development more so than her, mental capabilities, because she was developmentally delayed. Mm-hmm.
I have friends, and I was a parent mentor for Atlanta Public Schools, and my teammate Edith Bakri, her daughter is nonverbal, non-ambulatory. And one of the things that I would often talk to her about was the plan for when it was time for her child to be independent. Mm-hmm. And when you have a child who's nonverbal, non-ambulatory, you don't want to think about that. But because of the nature of our relationship, I could breach that conversation.
Yeah.
If you don't have a rapport with someone, you can't bring up that topic.
Yeah.
You have to have that sister friend who can have that tender conversation with you, and not only can have it, but know how to have it, because it's certain things you have to say.
How to have it. Because again, the people who were my peer support were people who were going through the same thing with their children. They were either had sons with disabilities, or we were going through the same thing. So we were able to support each other in different ways. But the ones who had the typical children, the ones who had, who didn't understand the actual how overwhelmed we became, they didn't give the same support because they didn't have that understanding. It wasn't their experience.
And they don't know how, because you don't have that personal experience, and it looks unmanageable. You don't even see how you can take a little piece of that off of that person's table to assist them. My niece has children with disability, has a child with disability, and I do paperwork. I do the computer work. I attend the meeting to be that sound mind. Something like an advocate, but the difference, I'm an auntie, so I have the privileges as a family member. So I'm not restricted based on the advocacy relationship, and they're not paying me by an hour. That's another thing too. As an auntie, you might not be paying that auntie, but you would pay me to consult so that I can teach you how to be that auntie. But you're auntie for a life. It's not just for one meeting or for one season. That's a natural support. And you'll hear a lot of them talk a lot of time in the mental and medical arena. You'll hear them talking about developing natural support. That's a untapped resource, is the relationship between sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Even friends. The young lady that I'm helping, whose daughter has autism, just graduated. I helped her through the graduation, and the daughter didn't want to go to college, and now she's talking about going to college. Now she has disability; she can't go to a traditional college, but and
Right.
she wanted, but so there are some conversations that I can have because I've built a relationship with her over years as a
Mm-hmm.
friend, as a sister auntie. So I can
So
go and
you can
talk to.
talk to the mom about some opportunities that the daughter may be able to have, or some alternative ways that she can still get an education, but how they can go about making it happen. Because people sometimes can be very sensitive about their
And
children.
not and the child as well, because that even when you have a child with disability, there comes a point in time when that child wants independence as well,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
may not be ready to see their disability, and so I have to have that tough conversation with them too,
that's
like
right.
what she has autism. She physically can be independent to some degree, but her intellect and her emotional are not at the same level. And I have
Mm-hmm.
to have that conversation, just like any auntie niece conversation.
Yeah,
Sometimes they can talk to their aunt better than they can talk to their parent,
yeah. You
and so
know,
that
one of the things
relationship.
I find too, sometimes parents and the individuals, but mostly the parents, they're in denial that their children may not be a typical child of their age. They may have some challenges that need to be addressed, and some parents do not want to face it, and they act like it's not happening. And there's certain things to me that you just have to deal with. My daughter, she's a girl. Girls get their periods. I know I did not want to deal with that as a mother. Period.
Hmm.
I didn't want anybody else to deal with that. So so a friend told me when she was 12 or 13 about something called Depo-Provera that keeps her from getting her cycle. That was a blessing from God. I'm just saying
and
that
and who did you
really
say?
helped me.
Who
It
told
was
you
a
that?
friend.
It was a
It was one of
friend.
her caregivers. It was a
Yeah.
parent, but again, this mother had a son. And this mother actually was somebody who would help me take care of Sierra, but she helped me find something to that solution. So I agree that it is such a big need to have people like that who can help you source out the help that you need. Because again,
Absolutely.
she understood the ones who, I'm not saying that the ones who didn't have a child like mine wouldn't have helped, but they I guess didn't see that that was something that I was concerned about. And
And I
so
would like to say that that connection had been made to figure out how to support, how to provide that support, that they could be of
mhm,
support. And there's a thing called universal design, where
yep,
you think outside the box of what might apply. So Depo
exactly.
Provera is something you use to, it's for use for birth control, correct?
It is, well, that's what
It
it's used
typically
for typical people. Yes.
typical tip but
Hmm.
universal design said you take something designed for one person and use it for another group of people. So
Exactly.
that's why my title is creative social solution. That's why because you have to be creative when you enter into the world of disability. um when I look at a person's disability, the first thing I do is think about what is the limitation, and then I think outside of the box of things that could come alongside and provide the support that they need. And so
Yeah.
my creative nature is what lends itself to being able to find resources for families. And I'm teaching;
And
those are the skills that I'm teaching other the aunties. I'm teaching them how to
right.
use those problem solving skills to address the need, and how to
Awesome.
use the relationship to develop that natural support that overwhelmed mother needs.
Right. And that is a real situation, being an overwhelmed mother. Like I said, some people are in denial. There are a lot of mothers that I know who have daughters, who don't have the intellectual capacity and don't understand how to from a hygiene standpoint, what to do when their period comes. But the parents let them still have them. So somebody has to take care of them in school to do that for them. I don't think
Hmm.
that's cool. That's just me.
Right,
I
right.
just don't think it's cool. But
But and they might not have even had anyone to introduce to them to that idea. They probably had never thought about that idea, because you say, uh, you tell them about that shot, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, my child not gonna have sex," and that's another thing too, to talk
that's
about
a
natural
whole nother topic.
inclination. Yeah, yeah,
That's a
and
whole
just
nother
really
topic.
But who else can you have that conversation with? Someone that you trust, someone that has your best interest at heart, someone you trust your child with. There's
Yeah.
nobody closer than a sister. There's no one closer than an aunt.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and you really have to, and that's a very, very, like I said, I have 4 sisters, so but I have different relationships with all 4 of them, and only one of them actually has said, if anything happens to me, she will take over as Sierra's guardian. The other ones said they can't do it. They don't know how I do it.
And that's the reality of a lot of situations, and that's a good conversation to have. But the autism, I think it's Spectrum and Gwinnett, they actually was working on a handbook to where, like, if you know how they do on Housewives, where they swap wives, and they create a book on how to care for their house.
Oh yeah,
that's the kind of manual people need so that they can if they.
Absolutely, and that's a critical manual to have just in general for your child with a disability. So if anybody has to take over the care, I do that whenever I go on vacation without my child. There's a book that outlines all of her needs, all of her doctors, all of everything, so that they can know what to do just in case. But that's because that's what I understand to do, because I want to make sure my daughter's taken care of, and more parents need to do that. But yeah, it's a very important thing. And because this is my area as a mother and as a consultant in this specific areas about disability, so I'm always looking for ways to not only help my child but to help other parents. So I totally get what you're trying to do, because broaden the perspectives and the horizon of people who can be of support. Because I know as parents we tend not to talk about the challenges we have. We just go about our business. We're overwhelmed, but we don't talk about it. And that's we just don't bring it up. We just do what we have to do. And,
well, in this stage, when you're talking about mental health,
exactly,
if you're talking about mental health, and the overwhelmed mother is definitely a mental health issue.
That's right.
That I have managed my mental health through all of this. Actually, have had therapy, been on medication. I'm off medication. I just graduated from therapy. That's a funny story. My therapist told me that she wants to, she think I'm ready to be independent. I'm like, oh, I've graduated therapy. I feel so privileged. But it is really important to have that natural support so that you can take care of yourself, because when you are a caregiver, sometimes you give to the point of depletion.
Yep.
And that's not good for you or your child.
It's not. And it took me years before I found out that I could get respite. And, the same mother who told me about, getting the kind of stuff, and so I'm just so thankful for, what you're trying to do is so important, because, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't do anything. But what you're trying to do is critical to being able to help families like mine.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that the bond of sisters can be really leveraged really well, and sometimes you have to work on that bond. And so one of my days of my master class, it actually talked about how to strengthen that bond, because you have to make sure that bond is strengthened, and there's certain things that you have to learn how to say and not say. And so that's what I'm really trying to share through my own personal experience with my sister and my nieces, how I've been able to maintain a relationship. I'm known in my family as the best auntie ever. My nieces love, when I say, they make me feel like I am a superstar. I'm at the great niece level now. And I'm really a person who, and I got it from my mom. My mom was a good auntie, and my grandmother adopted my mother. I call her the community auntie, because my mother was a neighbor in the community, and my grandmother adopted my mother. So I'm the 3rd generation of great best aunties ever. And I really, it's a family legacy now. I talk about it all the time. When you find that thing that God has called you to do, and you're in your purpose and you feel your passion, it's easier. And this is something that I can share with people from personal experience. Not only am I the best auntie, but I've also been that overwhelmed mother. And that gives you a perspective that of empathy and compassion to
Yep.
understand what it feels like when you don't know. Even if you had the knowledge, it is still hard.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
even if you have the money, it is still hard.
Absolutely.
So you need that
And to
network
have somebody
support.
like
You need a
yourself,
support system.
right? To have a somebody who you can turn to, that can, just to be a listening ear. That sometimes you just need to talk it over, talk it out, to get rid of the stress sometimes, and sometimes there's nobody to talk to. And so, like you said,
And
the
what
whole
I
mental. Mm-hmm.
what I do for the parents, I help the parent and the aunt. I support the parent and aunt relationship. So my
Mm-hmm.
job is to help them develop a plan and coach them on how to walk together. They could not pay me enough to be an aunt. You can't pay somebody to be an aunt. An aunt is a natural relationship. But
Mm-hmm.
what you can pay for, what you're paying for, is me to teach you the skills you need to learn in the communication, in
Right.
encouragement, and in project
Mm-hmm.
management, in problem solving, and strategizing. Those are the skills that I teach the aunt on how to support the mother.
That's
And
awesome.
once that mother feels supported, then she can go and advocate and be there for her child and the rest of her family.
Right.
And
So we're
it's
about
a
out of
very
time. So I want you to share something. You have some events coming up or something that you're going to be sharing with some of these strategies. Could you tell us about?
yes, yes. So best the Auntie Day is July 26th. National Auntie Day is July 26th, and there's an organization called Panks. They are professional aunts with no kids. They celebrate on July 30th. So from July 26th to July 30th, we'll be doing a workshop, and we will have an awards banquet on the 30th, celebrating aunties and really talking more about this new initiative that we have. Please go to my website, creativesocialsolutionspecialist.com, and you will be able to find out more information on how to register for the event.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Disability World today and
Thank
sharing
you.
your unique perspective. That is such a critical need for moms like myself. So I really appreciate it, and look forward to learning more about your upcoming event in July. That sounds like it's going to be pretty powerful. So thank you.
I'm excited. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I
Well,
appreciate you.
we appreciate you. You be blessed. Well, that was a really great conversation with Miss Rose Allen, and I love what she's doing in this community, and to help sisters, to support moms like me who can get overwhelmed and don't even know we're overwhelmed sometimes. So yeah, I really appreciate what she is doing to bring and enhance the quality of life for families like mine. So that's it for Disability World today. We thank you for being a part of it, and we look forward to bringing you some more great conversations as we move forward. You be blessed until the next time.